talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, my boy, Tutu.
We here, baby.
What's poppin', baby?
We're good, man. What's going on?
Hey, shit, just another day in paradise, you know.
Back to playing tournaments.
Well, not paradise, but Vegas, you know.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, well, I can't use paradise right now.
People think you're in the Bahamas.
People are actually in paradise.
They really are.
I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Guapo, how you feeling over there, baby?
They got me yesterday, Connie.
Oh, no.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
not only did they bust me out of the tournament, they took away my my video camera. Look, I'm missing.
Oh, my God. You have no video camera. You're just black.
But I'll fix it.
What happened?
He looks like me.
Not going there.
What's poppin', sidekick? What you doing over there?
Why doesn't Guapo have a camera? I don't understand.
You know, technical difficulties.
Ah, okay. Technical difficulties. That's fine.
Racism.
Yeah, you know, man. Yeah, I need some sleep. I played a lot of cards this weekend. I think I played between Friday to today. I think I played 40 hours, 35 hours, something like that. No, not nice.
Nice.
No, not nice.
How the hell did you have time to throw all those tweets out?
Easy. God, right to it, huh, Tortoise?
Well, you know, live poker's a little
we gotta
slow.
ease into these things.
I'm just asking a question.
Shout out Marley in the chat. I know why she's here. Yeah, man. You know, it's like live poker gets a little bit slow. It honestly became a meme because Friday I was in the second game, which is in and of itself a bit slower and smaller.
It's 25-50 game, right?
It depends. Some days it's 1-1. It's always one stake lower. So like if they're playing 1-1 in the main, we're playing 25-50. If they're playing 1-2 in the main.
Why is that?
There's just like walk-ins and wrecks that don't necessarily want to play quite as big.
Gotcha.
Like the game I played yesterday, the average stack was probably 60K.
Okay, so it's not like a game that feeds into the other one because
it does.
It does, though.
It does, but you know, there are just like a handful of recreationals that will only stay in the second game.
Gotcha.
That the game builds around.
Okay.
And then, you know, people get, you know, we all want to play the main, so
right.
Like, we'll move. But I was in the second game Friday when all this storm started. And
storm.
You know, it's mostly regs. We're all just waiting to get in the main, and it's really slow and everything else. And I was just kind of like, I'm gonna address this.
Yeah.
You know, I have some.
You were ready.
Choice
you were
words.
ready for what was about to come.
I was really caught off guard that D Moon Girl came at me. I mean,
hard.
Yeah, fine. Like, she's just like so ill-informed, and that's where the whole spiral of this is hilarious to me. So it's funny. I had this bookend at the end of the show, but let's just do it now.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I'm glad you did it. It's the whole framework of this like went so many different ways because she doesn't say anything. She just like, I mean, this is like a follow-up. This is nowhere close to the first tweet, but like basically she just like calls me a pompous asshole who just like lies on the mic and spouts things as facts that are fundamentally false.
Arrogant, I think was the word.
Arrogant. I could see that one working its way in there. And it's like, okay, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. But please provide me an example. And she doesn't ever come back with a full example, but instead Feldman jumps in and says, I believe she's talking about you calling Alex Ding a cheater. And it's like, well, okay, buddy, let's talk about it because this guy's a fucking scumbag. You know? And it's like, just because they're not privy to certain information, because they, you know, hang around in this insulated group that maybe isn't in the know and maybe is still somewhat close with Ding because allegedly he played their apps and owed them all a lot of money, and perhaps he's paying that money down. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why they would feel the need to protect him. I don't know why, he has a good rep with them and no one else in the high stakes community.
I find something weird about this whole situation that they wouldn't be in the know, or maybe not Feldman so much, but D Moon, like, how would she not be in the know? Like, this is her circle, right?
Well,
These are her games. Like, it's her job to know these things.
it is her job to know these things. She just maybe is very bad at her job.
Okay.
But yeah, like, Ding effectively walked off with somewhere in the neighborhood of low 7 figures. And granted, the more details I hear, the more likely I think it is that he was robbing from Peter to pay Paul. Like, Alex is a very smart kid. He's very talented at the game, but he's also a complete and utter degenerate. It wasn't an accident that a lot of people truly believe Ding to be a whale in these games because he fucking played like a whale. And maybe he just wasn't able to turn that off. It sounds like he got filleted in a lot of the app games for big numbers as well. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there was some legitimacy to the whole thing of, he was actually just scumming one half of the community to go gamble with another half of the community, and that's fine. But if you're going to be so goddamn certain that you're going to take a public stance on it, you better get your facts straight. So, of course, after hours of Feldman publicly, calling me out, telling me I'm wrong, that, he's willing to bet his life on it, whatever, dozens of guys flood his DMs with all of the stories of how Alex has fucked them over and all the grifts that he's ran over the past 3 or 4 years. Now, Alex is out of the game. Now he's doing whatever. I don't care. So what does Feldman do? Well, he does the honorable thing. He reaches out to me via DM privately so nobody else can see. And he gives me one of the most half-assed apologies I've ever seen, where I think the only time the word sorry was used was, I'm sorry I got involved. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry you got involved too, man. But you're just, you're out of pocket here. And I think what's crazy to me is that they think that I'm just saying this stuff on a whim. That, I haven't been biting my tongue for 2.5 years. Same thing with the Ali and Jake shit. When that stuff finally broke, people act like we were just, hearing things for the first time during that time frame and then regurgitating it on air, perhaps getting some of it wrong. That's just simply not the case. The high stakes community is incredibly insulated, and we do a good job of protecting one another. We get this stuff circulated fast and furiously amongst the people that matter and are trustworthy. So if you didn't get information, it's because you either don't matter or you're not trustworthy. But the truth of the matter is, it gets itself around so that other people don't get fucked, right? So when I finally break silence on air, I'm not speculating in very many cases, if any at all.
Right.
Now, they were harping on, whatever. They were harping on the fact that they said that I said Alex cheated that game. I don't believe I said that. I'll go back and rewatch. But what I was saying was that I know for a fact Alex recruited for that game. And I know for a fact that Lynn recruited for that game. And I know for a fact that Lynn was on Chad's bankroll.
I don't think you exactly said the words that Alex was cheated in the game. You did say that basically after the game had restarted, Alex was recruiting for it.
Yeah, well, it was. So I did get the timeline a little bit wrong. But the point is, after I stopped playing, Alex for sure was recruiting. Because I had a dozen pros reach out to me and say, Alex Ding, got me into that game. He brought me to that game, yada, yada, yada. It was all pros and they all lost. So it's yeah, we're jumping to some conclusions here, but we have a known cheat in Shane that is well recorded as being a cheat through dozens of home games over the last dozen years. We have a known conspire in Chad who's been running these fixed home games for however fucking long. And at a bare minimum, backing the entire table against a handful of people. So it's yeah, maybe there was an implication there that Ding was 100% in on the know. And maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. That part, whatever. I'm just drawing my own conclusions. But I got fucked in the game. I mean, I was in a position to get fucked in the game. Let's put it that way. So I feel fine drawing some conclusions here about people who very clearly were doing some bad shit to make sure that they got the best of everyone else. And to the degree at which that bad shit took place, to the degree at which everybody's guilty, I don't really fucking care, right? So ultimately, D-Moon said she wasn't even talking about Ding. This is days later, 3 days later. I wasn't even talking about Alex Ding. It's like, well, you fucking let a shitstorm roll downhill for 3 days before clarifying now that you weren't talking about Ding, because it's very obvious you were wrong to defend Ding if you were trying to defend Ding. And now it just becomes a matter of like, you were just speaking out of pocket randomly about other people who were in the game. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about? Your defense here is that when MJ, Perkins, and Blazarian audited the game, they found out that Chad backed way too many people. You're also telling me that you sold 20% to Chad and had the rest of your action, which, by the way, like, I don't know how much you sold to Chad, and I don't know how much of your action that you kept. I don't care. But that game was fucking huge. If you had 80% of yourself, fucking bravo. We were playing like upwards of 501K on nights where there were like whales in the game. I mean, the game was fucking massive. It was massive, and that should have been another clear indicator that I was playing in a rigged game, because the amount of money on the books was pushing the limits of what anybody who had anything to do with the game could have possibly backed.
Yeah.
And we knew that there were guys in the game not paying. You know, like I knew for a fact there was like 3 or 4 whales that seemed to have endless credit that were certainly never going to pay it off. So it's like, where the fuck's the money coming from? I don't know. Anyway, the final point that she made before I think she buried herself completely, like, it was literally just screenshotting and putting this up and saying, like, is this real life? Is she doesn't listen to the pod. She sold action to Chad. She admits that he was backing pretty much everybody in the game. And she also admits that she knows that the game was not on the up and up. But because I threw in the names of some of her friends who also played the game that may or may not have been involved, I don't know and I don't care, I'm the fucking clown who's lying on air. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, here's what I know for a fact. I wasn't involved, and I wasn't cheating. The rest of you are all fucking suspect as far as I'm concerned. Especially if you sold him a piece or you were fucking on the bankroll. You know what I mean? It's like, the game was huge.
I wonder at what point it was known that he was putting everybody into the game. Like, was I'm just talking about from her perspective. Like, was it before the audit?
She claims she didn't know.
Well,
in the tweet, she claims she didn't know.
Oh yeah, she did say that.
Stop it! I fucking knew right away.
Yeah.
And Lynn confirmed like 4 or 5 of the people for me right away.
Yeah, I remember.
It was just
that.
like, okay, I mean, fine. I mean, not fine, but like,
but
you
they
know,
suck. Who cares?
It was a very poor judgment on my behalf to continue to play the game, especially once I had that information.
For sure.
But it was also one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I have information I'm not supposed to have. So maybe I was arrogant enough to think that I could bend it in my favor. And I got lucky enough in a couple of the big spots for that to be the case.
You also had no other games to play.
Right. That's true too. And here's the thing, like, there's a good chance that when Shane wasn't in the game, that it was quote unquote on the up and up. And I say quote unquote because you still were probably playing with like 6 or 7 house players.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And whatever their scheme was, I don't fucking know and I don't care. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and emphatically say they definitely didn't know about each other and they definitely weren't working together the way Danielle did.
Even so, like, you can't even say the game's on the up and up when you have 6 or 5 house players in the game.
Well, Danielle did.
Well, you just can't.
She did. She said that she said they didn't know about each other.
They don't have to know.
And they weren't working together.
Even if they don't work together, they don't know about each other. It's just they're just putting the game together to get raked. So like, it might not have to do anything with the players, but it's not on the up and up from the house side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a rake trap's a rake trap. That's not that big of a deal. But I think my bigger point is that it's laughable to make that assertion. Yeah. It's insane to say that this collective of people who Chad Power is the common denominator for don't know about one another's business and don't know that they are receiving. Like, nobody on earth thought Cantu was in that game on his own dime. You know? Like, all you had to do was look around. Like, there are guys who their regular game is 5-10 and they're here every single night. It's like, who the fuck else is putting them in?
Yeah.
You know? So it's not like it was a reach to realize that Chad was the center point here. I'm certainly not going to comfortably say that if I'm playing against 6 people who are all playing off the same role, they don't know anything about it and they're not doing anything to collude. That's insanity. It's just, it's sheer insanity. So it's like, to the degree that everybody in that game was involved, I have no idea. The way I understand it, like, unfortunately for Hank, who, recently passed, they were building the game around him because, he was a little bit destructive. He would throw a party. He would.
Just to like clarify what you said in a earlier tweet or on the podcast, actually, you said that the game was. It was the game against Lana and Christian, and there were other people in the game that, like Hank, that had nothing to do with seemingly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Like I don't think Hank had anything to do with it. And he was the one who got me in the game. Like he was the one who invited me to the game. I think he was almost certainly on the up and up, and he was taking the worst of it as well.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to help you clarify that because she kind of went out and said, like, you're just. Yeah,
okay. Like, I didn't specifically go seat by seat and say this person was in and this person was out. Like, it was very clearly even in the sense of just game building. Obviously, any game Lana sits in as a dealer from Talking Stick who stole $1 million and is on the fucking lam, any game she sits in is going to be the table versus her. Mm-hmm. That's obvious. Yeah. But it's more so to the degree at which Chad was able to set the lineup in his favor. Like, I got lifted for a prop player 100%. Yeah. 100% I got lifted for a prop player. And 100% there was at least 6 other prop players playing. Mm-hmm. Or 5, I guess. 5, yeah. So it's like, beyond that, I have no clue what the fuck was going on.
No, of course. I just help you clarify that.
Yeah, no, I think it's worthy. But I think that the biggest issue I take is that the overarching point that was made in the podcast was that the game was dirty. These are the people that made it dirty, a la Chad, Shane, and whatever, splintered off of there.
Boston Tony.
Ding is dirty in his own right, whether it had anything to do with that game or not. He has all of his mishaps within the community, et cetera, et cetera. And those were the people that were highlighted and the people that were called out. Anybody else that was mentioned that was in the game is just like, okay, they were all there and they played their role as, a byproduct or a bystander. And it just is what it is kind of thing. But to drill down on like these minute details that really don't matter at all and that nobody would have ever taken away from the story as being like, well, fuck, like, he was running a scammed game. It's like, no, it's very clear. We outlined who was in charge of the game. And we clearly outlined who the most likely suspect was to have cheated the game. Shane and Boston Tony, right? It's like the whole thing is just about these people. And you're making it about something else because it rubbed you the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And now we have a 3-day long public debate where you're embarrassing yourself time and time again, saying things that don't align at all with what's being talked about, right? Simply because you want to take some sort of high ground and feel better about yourself for whatever fucking role you had in all of this, which may have been none, right? Who knows? Who cares? It just doesn't matter, right? None of this is important to any of us after the fact. But whenever you go way out of your way to vouch for the people that are being condemned, the Chads, the Dings, the Shanes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when you're vouching for those people, whether it's a hard vouch or soft vouch, by saying like, oh, the person calling these guys out is lying. It's like, what are you doing here, man? Do you just not want anything to get cleaned up? You just want to sweep everything under the rug and, let Chad move to Florida and start another fucking underground game?
Right.
What are we doing here? This is madness. So yeah, that was
been like a year. That's had to have happened, right?
Way longer. It was August of 2020.
Wonder where his new game is.
I heard in Florida.
He's definitely got one.
Yeah. I don't know if it's his game or not, but I heard he's in Florida. And then I heard that Boston Tony had been setting up a bunch of private matches that like Shane was just hanging out watching, which seems shady as fuck.
Interesting.
But a couple of guys from Pittsburgh who are familiar with that whole little crew. Which is where they all originated from. Chad's from Pittsburgh. Shane's from Pittsburgh.
Sounds
like Tony's from Boston.
Nope.
No?
Or he lived in Florida, from what I know.
Well, yeah, he probably.
It's
That's what happens when you make it in the scene, bro.
Like 4 or 5 years ago,
You retire south.
somebody had told me that they played a lot, and this guy lived in Florida. And yeah, very, very, very shady.
Yeah, I mean, like, money's never free, guys. The money's never free. If it looks like it is, you're probably getting fucked some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Just hope you get a piece and get the fuck out before you get the chance to really get raked over the coals. Well, that was
fun.
That was not the intro I was planning on.
That was a fun start.
That was a fun start.
That's, people.
You guys-
people were here for
You
it.
guys know that Lana bought me caviar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
I know. It was a great dinner.
How nice.
We went to the Eiffel Tower. She got me some caviar.
Wow.
Beautiful lady.
How long did she get put away for?
Probably nothing.
Nah, bro, that's grand larceny.
Dude, it's probably just a slap on the wrist. She probably got a year and a half in probation.
Come on.
I don't know what you think the justice system is.
I truly
it's
don't
a
know shit when
joke.
it comes to this stuff.
It's a joke in like, I mean, it's probably her first charge. She probably got nothing. Slap on the wrist and some probation.
Yeah, that's wild.
Matter of fact, I can find out.
Think she's doing a talking stick? That's like the craziest part of the whole detail to me is that she was just like a dealer who was like, you know what? This is my come up. I'm going to do it.
Yep.
I'm going to do it. Crime of opportunity. All right, let's get to some of the other weekend happenings. There was a lot of poker being played. Few big MTTs
Just a
underway.
couple.
Just a couple.
This shit is popping.
Nothing too crazy. WSOP is popping off in Paradise. We were wrong. You were right, Lamanna. You were spot on. No overlays.
Telling you, man.
Fucking hit every
You
guarantee.
done went down there for nothing.
All the Svens
Trying to
came
get
out in fucking droves,
Of course.
shelling out
it's
there.
the World Series of Poker. You get a bracelet if you win it.
I did hear about the
gonna
bracelets.
People are going to show up for that shit.
I did hear about the bracelets. The Floridians, they all came out. They're down there. They started the main event yesterday, I believe. Is that correct?
No, 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Okay, so today's 1C.
That's the entries for 1C.
Tuesday is 1D, so.
Okay, so what we just saw there was 1C.
That's 1C, yeah.
Okay, so 1,100 for today's flight. Is that right?
Yeah, is there only 3 flights?
No, there's 4.
Oh, so there's a whole nother one
Yeah,
yet.
there's
Yeah.
one tomorrow.
Okay, so they had 2,200 going in, I think, going into day 1C. Yeah, so if you see here, it's, they had
883 entrants from the online flight. 1B got 515 live, and then 1A 657 live.
Right.
Calculating to 2055.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're right around 3,200.
Okay,
coming
they
in.
only needed 3,000, right?
Right. They need
No. They need,
Yeah.
5,000 total.
Wait, why? 5K
Oh,
buy-in.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I was thinking 35.
Maths.
Maths.
I was thinking the wrong numbers. Wrong numbers.
I got
Maths. Yep. So and then the last day is usually the biggest, so they're probably going to get
Yeah,
more than
they're gonna smash this.
1,100. So they might get another, who knows, 1,500.
I don't know if
2K.
that's true in the Bahamas, because everybody's already there, so they're already firing stuff. So like they would just play day 1A.
Yeah, but there's
Maybe.
still people who
Yeah.
can like hop a flight last minute from
Right.
Florida.
Yeah, it usually is just
It's not nothing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not
they're-
saying it's going to be like an extra 500
No,
people.
but it looks like they are going to get maybe close to 5,000, which is nice.
yeah,
just
25 million.
25 million.
So that
Yeah.
starts to rival last year's WPT
Right, and at half the buy-in.
at half the buy-in.
Yeah.
Which, speculation leads to maybe 50 million here.
Well, I think that's where we're headed.
Somebody said there's a lot of people are saying they would bet like over 40. Over
Oh,
45.
I think over 40 is like
That's
pretty comfortable.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's going to be sweating any guarantees in 2023.
Yo, it's so sick that like if these weren't running fucking simultaneously, what are we left with? If these aren't running simultaneously,
I
do we
don't
have the
think-
biggest series ever?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so you think that
I think the overlap, I think the Venn diagram between the two places is pretty saturated.
Yeah.
I think the middle is pretty robust, if you will.
okay.
Like the majority of people, maybe I'm wrong, but I would think, let me rephrase. I think anyone who plans to who at any point would have planned to come to WPT Las Vegas will still come.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there are that many people who would have otherwise come to Vegas.
You're saying
if the Bahamas wasn't running.
It didn't pull people
Right.
away from the WPT.
Right.
It just created another option for people that live on the East Coast of Florida.
Correct. That were like never coming to Vegas.
Right.
Is that true though? If
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
I would say
A lot of
like-
Europeans probably that weren't going to come.
I think to
and
that
then-
point, I think it might actually help the WPT because the Euros will already be in the Bahamas, so now they just take a flight to Vegas.
Maybe, yeah. Instead of going to Prague.
Where they like probably just had no intentions of making a single trip for a single event.
So what I was thinking, Bahamas might be so big for Euros and stuff because like tax situations.
That's
Like,
true.
There's a lot of people that don't want to come to the States because they get fucking 25. The Canadians get like a huge.
Canadians specifically
get fucked.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like there's a handful of I mean like the biggest European countries that I think have representation here don't pay taxes. I think like England, like so basically anybody from the UK doesn't have to worry about the tax situation.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be the majority of European players that come to the States and play anyway. But you're not wrong. Like there is an element that they have to consider, specifically Canadians, because we withhold.
With Canadians is bad. It's like 25% withheld.
I think it's
Or
30 actually.
Yeah, it might be 30. Yeah, it's just like damn.
And I think maybe it might be similar situation with Norway. I can't remember, but I feel like Espen had an issue.
I don't know if it's Norway, but there's another.
I feel like Espen had an issue getting his money.
Okay, there's a South American country for sure that has
Yeah,
like
yeah.
30%.
Like, they
I think
exist.
it's like Venezuela. I don't know.
Fuck, they're probably taxing like 90%. They're just trying to stay afloat. You know, they're like, go off into the rest of the world, and please bring us back some scraps.
Right.
Our money's in the streets.
Literally burning.
Yeah. I heard they converted everything to XRP.
Yeah, I got a text the other day that says XRP. It's on its way.
I've been hearing this since like 2014.
The court case is coming to an end.
I got so fucking. This is so insane. When crypto first popped off, I guess for me it would have been like 2015. I had a friend who was like kind of heavy into it. He's just like, just buy a bunch of shit coins and like just hold them for a period of time and see what happens. So I bought a bunch of shit coins. I bought like Monero and obviously at the time ETH was an alt, or it still is an alt, but it was in the shitcoin bucket. I bought I still have like some Litecoin and some like just a bunch of trash. And I bought a bunch of XRP. It was super cheap. I think it was like, I don't know, 20 cents or something like that. And I think I bought, I want to say I had like 100 coins of XRP maybe.
Doesn't sound like that.
So, like,
many.
No,
$20.
sorry.
20 cents
a lot.
$20 worth.
No,
$20
sorry. Maybe 10,000 coins. I sold it for like, I think I sold it for like 80K.
That's sick.
So yeah, whatever that works out to be. I basically had a lot of XRP. I bought a ton of XRP at like 20 cents.
Yeah.
And somewhere in like 2016, it went on this like massive
Didn't it go up
run.
to like $3 or something?
It peaked at like 255 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I sold just under peak.
Oh, wow.
Because at that point, Dan had like started to get into crypto a little bit. And he's like, this thing is so fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like it has no shot in hell. They thought that they were going to be able to anchor it to banks. But it looks like, you know, that just isn't going to be functional. He's like, you hit the lottery, just get rid of it. And I remember I was playing in Ivy's room. I was playing in Ivy's room at the time, and Dr. Sean and we like fucked around with a bunch of shit coins.
I was going to say it's 61 cents right now.
Yeah. Well, it was so like, I think 2016 was right around the time where they basically said that they were just going to like print it infinitely. So like every quarter, new coins were going to be released, which makes it pretty hard for it to ever hit a high ceiling because the market or the supply just continually goes up. But whatever it was, I remember Dr. Sean and I, we were like sweating it and it continued to go up. He's like, I'm going to hold it to $4. I was like, yeah, me too. And then it hit like 256 and started to retrace. And I was like, I'm good.
Looks like it peaked just under $2. So like 196.
What's its
Really?
low?
No, I don't-
$3
Yeah,
and
that's-
2 cents.
What's that?
Yeah.
So we have a neighbor that's been buying this shit for the better part of 3 years now.
XRP?
He has about 500,000 XRP coins.
That's a shame.
And he has this guy that in New York that keeps telling him that once it's out the court case, he'll be rich.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's done in a year. Seems not bad.
Everything went up this year, though. Well, no, that's not true. Not everything, but like.
You're also very zoomed in on the graph, so it's like.
Yeah, that's 1 year.
No, I know, but I'm saying that it
all time, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it moved.
You can see, look how like it would like that when it just peaked like that. Berkey's just like sell, and then it's straight back down.
I was like, right.
God, how fucking good do you run? Look at that tiny little sliver. He's like, I just saw it right. This fucking guy.
Well, part of it was I think that was when they announced that they were going to be releasing new coins every quarter. Mm-hmm. And I'm no finance guy, but that seemed like
you understand inflation?
Yeah, that seemed like a recipe to not keep it at $3. Mm-hmm. So I got the fuck out, and I feel better for it.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving into actually, before we move into let's talk a little bit about this Phil Hellmuth grand entrance to the main event.
What's Poseidon's in the building.
All right, I respect the Poseidon for what it's worth. At least it's thematic. Yeah. What do you guys think? I just saw the shark with the S4Y sticker. Nice job, guys. What do you guys think of old merman?
I mean, I showed that picture to Michelle, and she said, "I'll never be able to watch The Little Mermaid again."
Yeah, I get it.
I mean,
Guapo, do you have Hunt's tweet by chance?
I can find it.
Yeah, if you find it,
so
that'd be great.
It's kind of like a thing. Like, who gives a fuck, man? If the guy wants to spend 10, 15K to do an entrance every year at WSOP,
well, I think the complaint that like Ike and others have is that it's incredibly disruptive to the people who are playing. And I thought Efro made a valid point when he was like, it's one thing for Hellmuth and Jungle and others to like have antics that make them the person that they are. And it's another thing for Randall Emmett to come marching through the Amazon room with a marching band for 5 minutes, leaving me with a splitting headache for the rest of the day.
Well, that's a completely different.
Mm-hmm.
What Randall did was absurd.
Fucking based Hunt right here. This is so good. It's just so good. It's so good because it's so true. Mm-hmm. I think that complaint is reasonably valid, right? So I guess like from that standpoint, do you think it's so disruptive that if you had paid $5,000 or $10,000 for an event that, you'd be bothered by this?
I think that I am not bothered when somebody like Phil or Jungle does it because, that's just them. They're kind of like originators of it.
But Randall,
they're very big in the community. Like they have huge names, whatever. Sure. It's great for TV. It's good for a couple Twitter and shit like that. But Randall Emmett, go play pickleball or something. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, it's just that's too much.
Okay. That's
like, the problem is, like, everybody can't do it. So it's like
Hellmuth kind of earned the right to do it. He's the originator of doing it. So
yeah,
it's
like,
kind of
we've kind of just like
I've played in main events where the day he came in and caused this whole thing, and I just laughed. I thought it was funny. I'm just like, this is a little over the top, but that's what he does. And I wasn't that bothered by it. Maybe I wasn't in the middle of a very, very big decision, and if I was, might have a different perspective. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's like goes on for an hour. It's like it's like a 10-minute thing, and then it's done. It's like
I get both sides of this for sure. Yeah. I thought Todd Watellis had a pretty funny take on this, where he said, for those of you who are getting upset about like Hellmuth disrupting the tournament, clearly none of you have made a final table with a Brazilian and half of his country mates soccer chanting for the better part of 8 hours in your ear. Try making a decision under that stress.
Yeah,
that's good for poker though.
Right. So that's the give and take, right? That's really the discussion here. Because in my opinion, I echo Daniel's sentiments way more than Jungle's. My apologies. Way more than Ike's.
Okay, yeah.
So Ike was like basically saying, if I'm in the minority, I'll shut up. But, it really feels like these are getting quite tired. And it's insane that, the 100K paused and everybody in the main event had to endure this like wild spectacle, leaving me with a headache 40 minutes later. It's like, yeah, I get that. You're right. You're the customer. You're entitled to peace and quiet while you play. You're entitled to a certain playing atmosphere, yada, yada, yada. But bigger picture, like I think Daniel's tweet is more on point for how both Ike and the rest of us all benefit from Hellmuth existing, right? Like the game is just so much better because of Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I don't even mean that tongue in cheek. I mean literally like the absurdity and personal humiliation he's willing to put himself through for the betterment of the game should be applauded, not really condemned.
He's the magic man.
He is the magic man.
I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of things saying like, "Hey, I don't hate this, but do it on a break."
No, yeah, but then
Do it coming back from a break.
It doesn't get any play
Right.
on a break.
Right. He wants everybody to look,
He
stop,
want- yeah,
and
he-
look at him.
He's
and,
the spectacle. you know?
I understand why he's saying.
Look,
that
I understand
is.
looking for a compromise, but like, just don't do it if you're going to do it on a
I mean,
break.
if he's doing it on a break, how weird would that be if he just walked into like a very just all empty room?
Right.
I mean, just do it the first 5 minutes after a break or something like that. You know,
I don't think it's a timing thing. I think that they could he could do it without.
So much noise.
Yes. Yeah.
So much
I think that's
spectacle.
what it basically boils down to. I don't know what the acoustics were like here. I don't know
From
what.
what it sounds like, it was pretty loud.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of noise Poseidon really needs to enter a building.
Raw from Poseidon.
But like, yeah, maybe just like I don't know. Don't give him a mic. Like if that's where we have to make the compromise, like okay,
Yeah.
fine.
I just think like if we do it like the first 5 minutes coming back from a break, nobody's really in a tough spot. Like feelings are good. Like,
No
whatever.
mic, no cymbals.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I think that's truly reasonable.
Right.
Yeah, because like again, I look around at my generation, like we're not gonna do this, man. We're not gonna pick up this slack moving forward.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, because
You
look,
jungle.
if you look at the
Nah.
the
You
poker
think-
pros that we have now, everyone is so stoic and everyone
Yeah,
is
you
like
think
very
Sven-
just
you
in
think
the
Sven's
game.
out
Like,
there
these
dressing
guys
up
aren't
like
going to come in
Poseidon?
with a parade. Like
No.
it's just different.
Right.
Right, and also like we'll just never get that Carl's Jr. money, right? So like
Carl's-
I'm sorry, but
I forgot he was in Carl's Jr. commercial.
Yeah, Carl's Jr.
I'm sorry,
reach
but
out.
like, you know I'm not gonna attack a roast beef sandwich on fucking air. Because I'm not going to get that check. I have a little bit of. I'd like to maintain some couth.
If you got
You
the
know?
check, you
Nope,
wouldn't do
not
it.
me. Carl's Jr. reach out. You know, we can get something popping. I get a roast
I
beef
love,
Sammy.
I love a big Carl. I crush a big Carl.
I have never been to Carl's in my life.
They're not reaching out. You're not getting that bank. It ends at Hellmuth,
Two
and
in
that's
the
my
morning.
point.
2 in the morning after you've been drinking all day.
Oh, that brisket,
man.
baby.
I have
It's
literally.
so
That's no
good.
tortoise brisket, but oh my god!
Look at
Oh
that.
my god!
Did he even bite that? I don't know if he even really
the
bit
thick
that.
burger.
I really don't think he even bit that. I think it was like already cut out, and he just put his face into it.
Yeah, it could be true. Could be true.
I think it was huge.
Yeah, I think if we could just reduce or remove the audio aspect of his entrances, I think then that may be where we find the happy medium of all
I don't
this.
think anybody. I think there'd be way less complaints if there was no
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah.
Mainly, what they're complaining about is the noise. It's not him dressing up.
Well,
or it's
it's
this. It's
the
the
disruption.
distraction.
It's the disruption as a
right.
whole.
To
But
piggyback off of that, Efro
Right.
says, I really appreciate and like Hellmuth, but I also got a really bad headache. I know other people who suffer from PTSD and similar. Making
Right.
extremely loud noises where they aren't appropriate isn't good.
Right, and that's
Which
what I'm saying.
I agree with.
Yeah, right. That the noise is the problem.
I do think though that like Todd's tweet shouldn't get necessarily overlooked because it is an element of poker that's kind of I think it's an element that's kind of missing, and also one that like very much toes the line of what is and is not appropriate in a poker venue, right? Like I talk about this story all the time. My first WSOP final table was 2011 with Mitty, who is Hit the Hole online. And his rail, it was 1 o'clock in the morning when we finally made the final table. It was a $2,500 event. 8 of us left. His rail, we were on one of the sides. So like you were there.
No, he wasn't.
Brian was there.
No,
I mean,
no.
mentally he wasn't there
Exactly.
anymore. Yeah, he was checked the fuck out.
Physically, like you saw him, but he wasn't there.
Bro was dead behind the eyes for sure,
Yeah.
but he was a noisemaker.
It came to party.
So yeah, like Mitty was in the 3, I was in the 7. We were right across from each other, and our rails were directly behind us. I mean, Mitty's rail could have touched him, and you guys were right behind me. They were doing shoe bombs. The Brits fucking get after it, man. They're soccer chanting for hours. I busted at like 3 a.m. in 6th, and the tournament rolled on. I think they finally bagged at like 4 5-handed and finished it out the next day. But the point being is, for me, that was one of the best memories I'll ever have of poker from now until the end of days, because it really did create a sports-like atmosphere. And I understand that this is my personal preference and take on these things, but like I greatly enjoyed that, you know. But I also recognize how ridiculous it was. We literally couldn't hear the dealer. Right. It actually became a visual game because it was so loud. I mean, I don't know how many decibels we could possibly have gotten it to with a couple dozen people who were blacked out drunk screaming at the top of their lungs, but it was for sure loud enough where people next to me were making bets and I could not hear the sides that they were choosing. We just had to go by the number of chips. So I acknowledge the problems with that type of atmosphere, but I also think it's worth pointing out like the way it changes the presentation of poker to the masses. If we were able to televise that, if somehow people watching at home were able to kind of feel as they were a part of that sort of atmosphere, I think it really skews the narrative of what poker is differently to the viewing audience. Because right now it's much closer to chess. It's a nerdy.
It was kind of like in
game.
this situation, Hellmuth is Happy Gilmore and Ike is Shooter McGavin.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, so it's just like, which one you want to be?
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like, you know, it's difficult to carve out a space for a Happy Gilmore in something like golf.
But maybe you know, maybe that's what golf needs.
Maybe
that's what poker needs.
Maybe it is what poker needs. Right? Generally, that stuff tends to be a flash in the pan, and you regress back to the tradition, though, right? And I do think poker is always going to be a quiet game. Yeah, I don't think it's a spectator sport.
And I think maybe it depends on the event too.
Isn't
like
golf's biggest like event complete shit show?
Oh yeah, the one in Scottsdale. Yeah, for like is that over?
There's a par 3 where it's like you're encouraged to like yell while the guys.
It's not their biggest event.
I mean,
it
like,
might be their most popular event.
Yeah,
It means nothing to the major.
Right. It's just a giant party where it's just like.
Well, that's what Liv is trying to do now.
Yeah, they had some huge like type party.
Liv was doing some shit where like they were doing like tailgates and concerts and all this other stuff for like their tours. Yeah. But it's different because those guys are already paid, so they're not competing for purses so much, right? Like they just got the bank. Like they basically signed contracts like athletes. Yeah. And it's like, at that point, like, heckle me. Who gives a shit?
Right.
You know?
Something weird, and this is completely kind of off topic, but it seems that John Ram just left PGA for Liv. But I thought that they were bought by one another. Like, I thought...
they're in a partnership now.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't understand how he can jump ship if they were a partnership now.
Well, I think they still... I think they coexist separately, but they're within a partnership. So,
like for the majors and stuff.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know exactly the entire framework of PGA and stuff like that.
But. Lee Jones. Shout out to Lee Jones. Here's $10 so Matt can retain some couth and not have to take the Carl's money.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for saying couth and like just not butchering that word. I thought for sure you were going to look at it and say, that's a foreign word. I'm just going to make something up.
Well, honestly, if you didn't just say it, right. 100%, I'd have been cough.
Yeah, I get it.
Hey, Lee, you misspelled that.
That's funny. I was thinking the same thing about Todd's last name. You said it was Wittelis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying it completely wrong.
I only got it right because I've mispronounced it a
Whittles.
million different
Whittles
times. I've said Whittles. I've said Witless.
I said Witless.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Witless, and then you realize like you don't want to just like dunk on somebody on accident.
I'm cool with Witless.
It's Wittelis. All right, well, I guess that carries us into WPT, and they've had quite the weekend.
Yeah.
Monster.
Yeah.
I missed it. Man, I got to tell you, after yesterday, I'm fucking in the muck.
Oh, no.
I'm in the muck, man. I would have rather been in this goddamn 10,000 person field than suffering through.
Largest?
$1.386 million for first place.
That's only 13%.
That's fucking absurd, dude.
For $1,000 buy-in.
For $1,000 buy-in.
It's funny that's It's bigger than
1,300 buy-ins.
It's almost double last year.
because like it's bigger than the Millionaire Maker ever was because they would do it where they skew it where they pay two places $1 million, like first and second. I mean,
we don't need to get on those payouts again, but
no, right. But that's the reason why this is the biggest. But still very, very impressive.
It's insane. So they got over 10,000 runners, over 10 million in the prize pool, 1.3 million to first for fucking 1K.
My 1100's in there. So is Guapo's.
So is Guapo's. So is Conrad. How many did you play, Conrad?
A couple.
Only a couple?
A couple. Wait, he said a couple? That's like, I don't know, maxed out.
I mean, this has to be max bird.
I just want to die, man. I don't know what you want from me.
This has to be one of those ones that you just
What do you
max.
want from me, man? I show up, I lose, I go home, I do it again. This is
They had
hamster wheel.
They literally had tables in every room possible.
They opened up a ballroom upstairs.
Yes, yeah, they were opening up side rooms and they
To the
put
side
tables.
By the way, shout out to Wynn, shout out to WPT that they saw this thing getting huge and immediately was like, okay, let's open up another ballroom.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to ask, what was your experience overall with them handling the crowds? Like, how were the dealers? How were the breaks?
For the 3 hours I was in the tournament, it was great.
Listen.
2 hours I was in the tournament, it was great.
All right, so
There is-
Tortoise's opinion doesn't matter. Go on.
There is nothing the Wynn and WPT do not do correct. From the dealers to the late reds to everything. It's just, it goes seamlessly.
How was late reg handled? Like, was it a long wait?
Not at all.
Never really.
I didn't
Never.
wait at all. I literally went and I got there Saturday at like maybe 12:30. Tournament started at 11. There was barely a line for the registration, and then I had to go back to the poker room. So I walked over to the poker room. They gave me my chips and I sat down. There were seats.
Yeah.
So it was just like they had different rooms, and so people.
Yeah.
Some people were going late reg here, some people were going late reg there, and I think the way they spread it out like that didn't cause a huge line for people to wait in.
From what I've seen, like the max ultimates was maybe 100, 150, like just waiting.
What
And
did
that's
that equate to time-wise, if you had to guess?
Probably 20, 30 minutes.
Mine
Nothing
said,
crazy.
Mine said alternate number like 109, and I got a seat immediately.
Yeah.
So
If you were an alternate waiting, how did they handle that? Like, WSOP, you stand in a line.
No, you can just hang out and they call numbers.
Okay.
So there's like,
And that's in the ballroom?
190 and below. It depends on where you were. So like one of my buy-ins, I was out in the poker room and in front of it or whatever, and they just do it at that podium right there.
Right, so basically,
Yeah.
like, wherever they're seating alternates, that's where
they were seeing them
they'll
in
be
different
announcing.
places.
Yes.
So when I got
Oh,
my
I see.
ticket, they told me, like, they told the person in front of me, you're in the ballroom, and
Yeah.
they told me you're in the poker room.
Yeah,
I
I think
see.
everybody
Okay.
has their alternate own like space.
Right,
So
right.
it's not like, it's completely jam packed.
Right.
But like I said, everything that happens at the Wynn and WPT, it goes seamlessly.
It
seems.
really does.
It's so smooth. Everything is so comfortable. You get stormtroopers dancing at breaks. It's
Breaks. On breaks. They were doing it on the break. They weren't doing it in the middle while someone was
Yeah,
trying
they're
to.
nameless and faceless. Hellmuth wants to be recognized. Okay, so I mean, like, it seems as though everybody obviously agrees as far as their wallets are concerned, since they're putting out record number fields.
Yeah.
Which again, like, to take it one step further, this is especially impressive because we think of the WSOP as kind of one of a kind. Like, it's so unique in the sense that it can handle 20,000, 30,000 type
You
fields.
never see numbers like this outside the WSOP.
Correct.
It's insane, and it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah,
I love this winter wonderland.
I'm sure you do, Connie.
How do all
fucking
these people
love
have
it.
money right now? Everything is so
End of year,
goddamn
bro.
expensive. No, I'm serious. Like, everything is so expensive. Like, how are we breaking all of these like record numbers? Like, the inflation is like nuts. You can't buy cars, you can't buy houses,
Right.
But people have money to go play $1,000 tournament.
Yes,
Like,
because that's how it works. When $1,100 is now not $1,100 anymore,
Yeah.
you can play right when it's the equivalent of I don't know, 500.
Well,
listen, if you want me to
it's not
really
that
blow your
bad, but
mind,
yeah.
No, but
how are lap dances still $20? since I've been 18
Shout out
years
to all the
old, they're still
mamacitas out there.
$20. Like, how is inflation
That's
not,
just
not
no.
caught up to the strip club?
That's just the first dance. That's the entry level dance.
Right.
There are layers to this shit, my G.
Okay.
yeah.
You go in there, you get 90 seconds for $20, and then if you want to touch a titty, That's going to be
Then
30.
it goes, I see.
And, maybe they're going to take you back to the VIP room that's not very VIP.
The champagne room. Gotcha.
No, the champagne room, that's gold tier.
That's S tier.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
no sex in the champagne room.
No sex in the
Chris Rock
Yeah.
said it first.
In the champagne room. No sex in the champagne room.
Really, Cook?
Cornbread. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, man.
So good.
God, we had such a good childhood.
Yeah, we did.
I feel bad for these kids these days.
I know.
Okay, so breaking record numbers in the prime. I unfortunately did not get a bullet in there. I wish I had. Landon still in the field, still in the mix. Shout out to Nikki Limo. She's also out there.
Go, Nikki. Go,
Getting it
Landon.
done.
She was letting you boys know what she would have done in your
With,
situation.
15 big blind strat chat.
Yeah, we found Guapo a bit in the muck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know that Guapo was in the muck, to be honest.
I thought I played it okay.
I think all three
I
of
think
you.
he was in the muck, just the fact that he was in an MTT.
Yeah,
That might be true.
from what I understand, everybody was in the muck that had played the event.
Yeah.
And that was the overarching thought of the muck is being a part of a 10,000 person field.
Right.
So I guess why don't you guys give us a little insight as to what it's like navigating these fields and why you question what a good play is.
Oh, navigating the fields. You flop a set, you get all the money in, and they have a bigger set. That's navigation at the finest. For 300 big blinds.
Don't you think you should have?
Beautiful
Don't
navigation.
you think you should have slowed down somewhere? Maybe
What,
try to survive.
on my way to the bridge? Yeah, that's where I should have slowed down. On my way to the bridge to jump off.
Maybe try to survive. It's all about survival, Conrad.
Do I have anything to throw at you? Anything?
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Conrad, a little bit. Like you're in an MTT. Winning chips not as important as saving chips. Maybe if we're set over set, we take it easy. No. What happened? What happened, big guy?
Somebody called 911 because I'm about to commit a murder.
Sounds like a level 1 bust to me.
Oh, no, it wasn't, and that's the issue here.
Oh, wow.
This was a deep bust. It was right like dinner, basically.
How did you guys both have 150 big blinds on dinner?
Yeah, I know. It's straight fucking people.
Now I actually think maybe you should have slowed down.
Wait, let's hear the hand. Let's hear the hand.
Open 2K with 10s
Holy
at
shit.
1K.
Wait, after dinner break?
No, it's right before dinner break.
Okay, I was going to say.
You have 150K in front of you?
I have
roughly?
180K in front of me.
That's a lot.
The cutoff or high low jack makes it 8K. So we know he has a very, very good hand. He's just trying to put all the money in. And I'm like, oh my God, my pee-pee is hard.
And then you fold.
What?
And then you fold.
Call.
Move on to the next hand.
Call. Flop. 10-8, 4-2 diamonds.
You have the nuts.
Thanks. Check.
Yep.
9K.
Okay.
Call.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do anything crazy
Well,
here.
there's 2 diamonds. I might stick a little raise.
I mean, sometimes I will. But here I just felt like it was just, we're going to get a big bet on the turn no matter what.
Okay.
Turn.
Check raising turn, though, looks really strong, though.
Yeah, but I felt like the bet was going to be so big that it didn't even matter.
So big.
I mean, there's already 16, there's already 36K in the pot.
Yeah, but you guys got like 140 behind.
Or 34K. What?
You guys got like 140. You're like 6 SPR.
Yeah, but when he just pots on turn, I can just rip. Or check raise rip. Whatever.
Seems strong. But okay, go on.
But yeah, but I know he has a strong hand, and he's not folding aces here. So anyway.
Turn ace.
No. Turn ace out. We would have a different hand. Turn jack. Check. Pot. Jam.
The queen 9 got there.
I call fucking jacks. My life. It was painful. It's stupid shit.
Yeah.
Stupid MTT shit. But you know, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I think if jacks are in range, I especially like check raising flop more.
I honestly didn't. I thought it was gonna be better than jacks for what it's worth.
Yeah.
By the size.
But even queens.
I thought it was like, honestly, I really thought he was just trying to cool me off and thinking I have like a really good hand, or hoping I have really good hand, like aces or kings.
I mean, I guess like my point is like if you think he's so concentrated to overpairs, and queens and jacks are part of that at all, there's so many bad turns where he has to play pot control because unlike you, he's not trying to play a 300 big blind pot with one pair. Like I don't know. I don't know.
I just want to go back and just remind you, I didn't have one pair.
No, I know. But I get that. I'm just saying, like, maybe, you know, your face kind of presents as one who would play a 300 big blind pot. Basically, your assumption was that he was going to pot the turn with one pair, and I guess I'm kind of indicating that, like, I don't necessarily believe that to be true.
This specific human was betting pot on turn with aces, kings, and queens, probably.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It doesn't matter. The results are obviously the exact same.
Right.
I'm just, you know, I'm trying to ease you out of the muck, you know. Perhaps maybe we put a little small check raise in on the flop. We get to represent diamonds all the time, you know.
Yeah,
maybe a diamond comes on the turn and he slows down.
I don't hate check raise and flop. And honestly, I would check raise flop probably like 78% of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And just this time, I was just like, I'm not check raising here because he's going to barrel off.
Bro rolled low.
And this is what happened.
Yeah.
How do you get out of bed the next day?
What?
How do you get out of bed the next day?
You don't go to bed. It's
I'm
easy.
sorry.
What?
Okay. How do you make your way up to the registration line to do it all over again?
Oof.
You high five the cashier and say, I didn't want to play again. How you want to play again?
Very insightful stuff.
The toughest part of the tournament for me is always the walk to the car, because you start questioning like
Well, because you
certain
just died.
plays that you made, and it's
Certain
like,
plays are the one that killed you.
God, I laughed.
Nobody
the whole
is-
way
Not
to
only
the
that,
car.
I always think about what if, or like you start thinking about that 1.2 or 1.4, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever busted a tournament and was just like really happy with that hand. I'm totally happy with how that played out.
Well, not the fact that I lost it, but I was fine with how I played it.
Every once in a while, like there's a hand that it was just unavoidable. You know, you get kings versus aces, you get set over set, like whatever. Those are the ones where like you just go to bed. But every other bust out hand for somebody who doesn't regularly play tournaments, you end up like Guapo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you don't play tournaments, it hurts.
Guapo literally described his bust out hand as quote unquote a little thin.
A little thin? When did I say a little thin?
You definitely said a little thin.
You did say that.
You said,
What
I
did I
went,
say
you
was
said I
thin?
went a little thin against an OMC.
Yeah.
And rejammed nines versus his under
with
the gun
15
open.
big blinds.
Yeah,
That was thin.
so-
And I would,
and
I would
against an
have.
OMC under the gun open, you don't think that's
No, I would have licked
Close.
his face, gave him a high five, and kissed him on the cheek.
You do some weird shit at the table, man.
There's like
No, Conrad. He's always
Yeah.
licking people and high fiving them.
Well,
and,
Yeah, I mean that's just what you got to do. I say thank you.
I think you're like, if you want to say like this is like the in the muck is kind of not recognizing the difference between like a tournament OMC and a
cash game.
cash
OMC?
game. Cash game OMC is just gonna sit there and not play any hands and do nothing. But like the tournament OMC has played enough tournaments to understand that he has to play hands or he will just blind out like and then be out.
Okay.
So it's like they will bluff. They will do certain things. They will, now just to a less of degree.
More importantly, they'll open eights.
Right.
And ace queen.
Right, exactly. They'll open eights, they'll
And
open
sevens.
ace queen. Right.
You know?
Right, exactly.
And sometimes
King, queen.
deuces because like even though they're
Pair.
OMCs, they don't know that like as you get shallower, small pairs suck.
Right. They just got a pair. So like, yeah, when you have nines and you have 15 big blinds, facing an open from literally anyone is just
Yeah, I think
get it in.
legitimately I'd rather have an OMC open when I'm rejamming nines.
Yeah,
Because
because
they might fold tens or jacks.
Exactly.
Right,
Well,
they might-
it's-
I thought the same thing.
No, but they're
Not
gonna
tens or
fold like
jacks,
ace
come on.
jack and ace
Exactly,
queen, and they're
bro.
gonna
They
fold
will
the flipping
tens
hands.
sometimes.
Probably not, but
No, yes, they will.
probably not.
Grow up.
They definitely
No,
will.
they won't.
Wait,
Stop arguing.
No, they
you don't
will
know
not.
this.
Wait, what did you
You
say?
don't know this. You don't play tournaments.
Hold on, did you say somebody's folding tens?
He said old man
I said an
coffees are going to
OMC can
fold
fold
tens
tens.
for 15 big blinds.
What?
Closing the action nonetheless
could you-
after they've already committed however many big blinds.
Guapo.
Yes, sir.
You're
There's
retired.
There's a couple of groups that meet around town.
Am I being invited?
I think it's every day at 2:00, and I think it'd be great for you to show up, man.
I'll be there.
The intervention is necessary. No, but
Yeah.
you'd rather have the OMC because like he's not going to correctly call off with ace jack suited.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, you lose the fact that he probably also won't correctly call off with eights, which is kind of like,
Yeah, that's
you
true
know,
too.
like, maybe now you can like honestly against them, you might be able to get a little bit more exploitative.
Eights he probably calls, but like
You might be able to get a little
Sixes
bit more
and- sixes and
exploitative and like
sevens.
start jamming all pairs. Where from that, well, you can't do that because you still have people to act behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still fucked behind you.
Yeah. So you're just kind of restricted to your hand. But like, it's one of those things where you bust there in a flip and you're just like, was that necessary? He's tight. I didn't have to reshove on him.
You shouldn't question it. You should run back to the rebuy line and give him another 1,100.
I think this is the problem with live MTTs is maybe problem isn't the right word to use, but this is the mind fuck of live MTTs. If you're playing online and you do this, you don't care. You just fire up another one. You're going to play, thousands of games this year, and you're going to bust a bunch of them in flips, and you're just going to live with that. But when you're playing live, it's such a time sink, and you're so committed to the run.
Yeah, you drove down, you're there, you're playing one tournament, and then you bust, and then you're just like, what do I do now? And
it's really difficult for people who do this, maybe outside of Conrad, who do this for a living, to kind of compartmentalize that you're going to waste a lot of time just to flip in a spot, die, and then have to do it all over again in order to recoup the hourly for all that time wasted.
And let's not forget about the time you have to wait online. Jesus.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
tilting.
specifically because this tournament is such a lotto in that it's such a small amount to invest for life-changing money that these tend to hurt a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the main event for anybody, really. It doesn't matter to the degree at which you've made it. The main event will just always represent this opportunity to either add a bunch more money to your stockpile or to go from 0 to hero overnight.
Yeah.
And busting that event will forever hurt. It's just impossible for it not to, because it dashes a dream, at least for 364 more days.
As long as you have one chip left in that event, the dream is alive.
Yeah.
Right?
And
It's
shit
alive.
crazy shit just happens.
As soon as it gets pushed to the other person, you're like, all lost.
Yeah.
Hope is lost.
Hope is lost.
But then there's always another event. So you got to muster it up, pony it up, get over there to the registration line.
I just
play
don't.
another event.
Man, that is truly the in the muck part to me, because I don't know how. I don't know how you can do it.
What do you mean?
It's a volume-based game, Matt.
I struggle with it in cash.
But the numbers. You know what it is. So how does
But
it bother you?
Because you don't know when you're going to win, and it's mostly losing.
Yeah, but it's the unknown. That is the gambling part of.
It's just such a mental drain in my mind, where not only do you not know when you're going to be chosen, but then you also don't know when you're going to shoot yourself in the foot for the times that you're chosen. Like, how many times are you exiting because you shot yourself in the foot versus it was just in the cards?
But you got to understand that when those chips go bye-bye and all hope is lost and the dream is dead, it's all alive again once you get another ticket.
It's all a matter of time.
All of a sudden, the dream is alive again. The hope is there.
It's funny that Brian says this, and it's only because he's got supplemental income.
Yeah, I've been out in the what do we call those streets?
Lucha Libre.
Yeah, the Lucha Libre streets.
You've been out in the fucking barbecue streets, my guy.
You are the barbecue dad.
You put on a little bit of.
I look good there.
That singlet is fitting a little something for sure. I mean, I guess like for me personally, like, it's difficult to even compartmentalize this in cash, where every day I'm swinging a lot. Like, I had a 100K upswing this week. Between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I won like 115,000 or 120K, something like that, and I just lose 99,000 last night.
So you're up 1,000. Congrats, man.
Right, but that's my point, is that it's difficult then the next day to realize that, like, every single hour that you spend there, every single day that you spend there, you're just like adding to the graph one way or another, and you're just living out the experience of the fluctuations, right? Because like in the game, every single time I'm losing in game, it's just like, wow, this is ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, like I get it, and I can pull myself back and say, like, no, this is just the runs. You're gonna have plus runs, you're gonna have negative runs. Like, yeah, you got cooled off. Yeah, your aces got cracked. Yeah, you got set over set. Like, this shit happens. This is just variance playing out. You can rationalize that pretty easily. But when you're living it, and your lived experience is that when it comes to the pots that are being fought for, where neither player has a lot of a hand, I'm winning my unfair share, right? The issue is that, like, you can internalize that, and it feels to you as a skill. It's like, this is my skill. This is where the skill comes out. But when the results are often like when the results that you can quote unquote see, let's say, come from the extremes, having the best of it versus the second best hand, or having the worst of it versus the best hand type of thing. It's so hard to return back to this centered place of that's just all the variance, and all of my money is coming from this getting gritty, non impressive type of stuff of just grinding out 10 big blind pot after 10 big blind pot, I don't know how you do that in MTTs, where now instead of grinding out 10 big blind pots, you're grinding out mid-stage events. You're grinding out min cashes, you're grinding out a pay jump, leveling up to the final 1% of the field.
I think the clarity is the problem, right? Because like when you're playing cash, it's easy to see your win rate. It's easy to see your hourly because it's presented to you so often.
Right.
Where in the tournaments, it's not. It's you bust, and you just have to keep playing again because you have an hourly, you have an ROI.
It's insanity.
But you're not gonna.
No one's arguing.
Realize that ROI until everything clicks and you have that deep run and you have that big
feels like
cash.
the definition of insanity.
No,
I mean,
doing the same
definitely
thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right, but because you will have that different result, especially if you're studied, if you're playing well. Yeah, you if you play enough of them, you will.
Yeah.
So
Landon's really great at this.
I mean, look at these.
If you're good at it,
These fields, right? That's what I'm
you'll
saying.
be fine.
These fields are thousands and thousands of people deep, and if you're a good player, you have a high win rate in these things.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it takes time to realize that win rate. So.
I think two people that are very good at this that we have in our circle is Landon and Hunt, and I think the difference is that Hunt has it in his brain where he's so detached from the results that he could just show up 300 times a year. For Landon, he's young, he's distracted, he's got a lot going on in life. There's a million different directions he could be pulled, and the pain of showing up 300 times a year and only having 30 plus results is maybe enough to say, I'm going to lift today. I'm going to see my friends today.
Yeah.
I don't need to play 6 bullets to the 1K prime. Well, I mean, he bagged on the first one, so maybe this is a poor example. But you get what I'm saying. Like the grind set, I hate that word. The grind hasn't yet kind of overtaken him.
Yeah,
his passion for poker has, but
he's barely showing up for an 1100 like MSPT.
He's there, but
it depends. It depends on what week's going on. Like if there's more poker around it.
It's not even that it depends. He's there, but he's not like there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
You've seen him skip a couple things recently.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I know the difference as somebody who's had a weird relationship with MTTs from day one. Right? When I really desperately needed the score, I was fucking there. And I was jonesing for the next one. And, so long as it wasn't like dampening my ability to survive and play elsewhere as far as bankroll requirements go, I was excited no matter what. I was thrilled for the next one. I couldn't wait. And I was there for the pain. As I got a little comfortable and the score didn't quite mean as much, my level of expectation elevated so much that the floor for me to play was way higher than what my expectation could ever meet, right? Where I was like thrilled to get out of bed for a 1K that was 6 figures the first, now became a chore.
How are you feeling about the 10K? Are you excited to play it? Do you not care?
I truly don't even know if I'm going to play.
That's incredible. I just don't see that. That's what I mean. Like, where is that floor at? Because
I just have no fun whatsoever in MTTs.
So this is what I call stupidity. Straight up and down.
Have you seen the shirt you're wearing today? Stand up for the people. Stand up and
Grandma with the goddamn dick in her mouth said this is stupidity. All right?
I like it. It's got an artistic quality to it.
That's right. That was the shirt I bought for Conrad 3 weeks ago. It just showed up. It was supposed to be overnighted. Go on.
It's absurd for you to be a career poker player and you see a 10K with a $40 million guarantee, and then
it's gonna be $5 million the first.
You say something like, I'm not sure if I'm going to play it. It's absurd to me, dude.
Well, I'll probably play, but if you had to estimate, what do you think my hourly is in that event?
I don't give a fuck if it was 22 cents. You goddamn show up. There's $5 million the first. 10K's not going to hurt, or I should say 40K's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
If you lose
30.
it.
It's only 3-day ones, right?
Is
You
it?
could, yeah, but
I think it's 4.
Can you
Oh.
re-enter each day?
No,
No
it's a freeze
re-entries. I think it's 4.
Oh, freeze out. Each day is a freeze out.
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Each day is a freeze out. So yeah, like I was saying, like, who gives a fuck, man?
Matt,
I
what is the
Go ahead.
biggest deterrent? Is it the fact that you got to sit there for so long, or that you just don't enjoy
it's
it?
that no part of the process is fun to me. Like
when you play cash, how long?
I was stuck 100K yesterday, and I was having an absolute blast.
Oh, were you?
I mean,
I read text messages and fucking definitely.
okay. I had some low points, albeit there were definitely some points of being miserable, but generally, like, the gamble that is involved in cash
It's fun, yeah.
is so much fun, because the worst thing that happens is that you lose dollars. In MTTs, the worst thing that happens is they tell you to go home.
You lose your life.
So
I don't like being ejected from a game.
So
No, I
the,
got you. I
the
understand.
World Series main event, you don't get excited for that one anymore? Or
Last year was
that
probably
one-
the first time where I felt nothing going into day one.
so
It was
sad.
It was really a sad feeling.
Really
It truly was. I
Because
agree with you.
The reason I say that is because I think this is probably the closest thing
Yep,
that
agreed.
you're gonna get to that feeling. Like, I'm very excited to play.
Yeah.
So like, I know, like, it's a mini main event. It's basically,
It's a very spoiled
Yeah,
and entitled
right.
mindset that I wish I could get over, but I'm
Yeah.
also not that incentivized to get over, because it doesn't really matter. It's not my main game.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, I went deep in the 10K 6 max, I think last World Series, 2022. I think I got like 7th or 8th. Maybe it was 2021. I can't recall.
It's
Anyway.
2022.
Yeah, either way. And then I went deep in the 10K mystery bounty this year. I got, I think, 12th in that. Not only was I not excited to play the main, but when the 10K 6 max came up, I chose to play the third game at the Bellagio instead, which is just reg battling.
yeah.
I skipped the 10K 6 max with literally no desire to even max late reg it.
Wow.
To play the third game reg battling for, maybe a third of my normal hourly in the 100.
I kind of get that, because I feel like I don't know, like, I mean, I guess you really used to love the 10K 6 max, I guess. So,
Yeah. I had a huge result. It's not even so much that I love it. It's that I just recently had a big result in what is otherwise notably a very tough tournament.
Right.
And B, if you had told me 10 years ago that your future self will have the ability to play the 10K 6 max with no financial pressure whatsoever and go out and just perform your best, I would have been like, man, that's making it.
Right.
And now somehow I'm in a situation where not only do I have no desire to go play in that event, but I think I'm a fucking dog.
Yeah.
Like, I just am like, well, I don't care to go play a format that I don't enjoy, and I think I'm very likely losing at.
To be fair, you might be slightly a dog. Like,
Yeah.
deep in the tournament. Like,
No, deep, I don't think I'm a dog. Well, actually, I take that back. You're right.
no, deep in the
you're right.
tournament, I think
The
you're
reason why I
slightly-
said I don't think I'm a dog deep is because in the 6-max format, it's very, very deep stacked. So
Yeah.
I think,
No,
like,
he means deep.
I know what he means.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Further along in the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, he's right. And I'm saying the same thing. The average stack, whenever you get down to the final couple tables, is like 50 to 60 big blinds.
Yeah.
And I think that lends itself to me. But Conrad's right in the sense that I'm too ICM ignorant to really take the best advantage of it.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's like, yeah, I think I'm playing really well because I'm probably putting people in a lot of spots and I'm probably doing really well from a chip EV standpoint, but I'm probably also just getting filleted
Just lighting,
from an ICM standpoint.
yeah, just lighting dollars on fire, but
Yeah.
and not even noticing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just there's nothing really fun about it to me.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who gets off on winning pots. Like that's my thing. That's the whole point of being the loose player in a cash game is you get to play the most pots, you get to win the most pots, you get to lose the most pots.
Kind of makes sense.
It is funny because since I've, because I had basically the last couple of years have just played tournaments, and then recently in the last, handful, 4 or 5 months, I've been playing cash as well. And it is such a different game. It's so different. It's like the mindset is different, right? It really is. It's like you do
Aggressive patience.
It's like I can't wait to play as many hands as I possibly can and try to win as many pots as I can. Where like in tournaments, you have to think about all these other things and how I need to not play hands.
It's kind of
in
funny
certain
because, well,
situations,
sort
and
of. It's kind of funny because structurally, it actually probably, in theory, at equilibrium, is the opposite. In cash, there isn't a whole lot driving the action outside of the ante.
Right.
And most of the good cash games are playing like 8 or 9 handed, which means that you should be V-pipping very low, right? Like you should just be basically very selective of the hands that you choose to enter the pot with, and then put yourself in a position to polarize as quickly as possible to make sure that you're on the right side of winning large pots. That's kind of the framework or the overall structure to being a good dominant cash game player. And that mostly speaks to capped games. Like I would get torched in I would very likely get torched in like the 2-5 streets where it's capped at 100 or 200 big blinds, at least in the short term.
You talking about live or online?
Both. In the near term, I think I could, refine my strategy to be winning. But a lot of what my strategy is predicated on now is the fact that we're playing in a really deep uncapped game, and people navigating 500, 600, 700 big blinds are just in uncharted waters. And when you see the errors that are occurring, where money goes in way, way too fucking light, and then other areas where money goes in way, way too tight, you're able to just kind of like build your range around those two factors, right? You're able to just be like way imbalanced towards bluffs where they're too tight to put money in, and way more linear in value where they're just putting money in too loosely, right? And that's like the beauty to me. That's where so much of the joy comes from, because now it does expand things to you having incentive to play more pots, having incentive to fight for more pots, because the money going in too tight is a big precipice behind it, right?
Precipice.
Maybe that's a predicator, I think is a better word.
I don't know if it was right or wrong. I just had to say
no,
it.
I think you're
Precipice.
right. I think you're right in correcting me.
It sounds like
it's a
T-Rex.
it's a predicator to like how they're approaching the spot, right? And that's like the beauty to me. In MTTs, the structure's advancing, so you actually are pretty heavily incentivized to let's not call it splashy, but like to be in there and fighting tooth and nail for a lot of pots. But then you have the conflicting ICM aspect of it. And it's basically like being able to have a super vehicle where you can go 0 to 60 and then slam on the brakes and just continually do that for days, right? And that just doesn't speak to my personality. I don't want brakes.
No, right, yeah.
Right? I want the roller coaster that is
straightforward the
unhinged
whole way.
and it can't be slowed down.
I mean, but like, there's this life-changing money even to you.
I get it. I'll
on
gamble.
top.
Like I'll gamble. I'm almost certainly going to go tomorrow, depending upon like what the situation is at Bellagio. And maybe if I don't have a miserable time or don't bag, I might fire the other 3 bullets.
Maybe if I don't have a miserable time, you're like just setting yourself up for a miserable time.
How many day ones are there?
3 or 4.
I want to say there's 4, but he says there's 3.
Well, Friday's the last day.
Friday's the last.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4.
4.
Yeah.
4
Yes.
then. Okay. Maybe I was just wishfully thinking.
Hey.
There was 3.
I think I really resonate with something Brian just said, and he was talking about the mindset between
Cash
tournament and cash. In cash games, I'm looking forward to like peeling my cards and like whether I'm at top of range, bottom of range, middle of my range. I found myself in the tournament as I started to get down to like 20 bigs, 18 bigs. Like I was hoping that I would peel my cards and just have really easy decisions. I didn't want to see like the Jack 9 suited. I didn't want to see pocket 4s from like UTG +2. Like, I think a lot of that has to do with maybe mindset and just not being studied. But
I was gonna say, I think
it's just different
for you. It's or for a lot of people, it's just being more studied in the situation, because then you'd feel more confidence, and then you would understand what's top and bottom.
Yeah.
Like
it's the same thing. It's just like when you look down in like cash game, you just look at your hand, oh, this is an open, this is not.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in tournaments. It's just a different range.
Yeah, you're
right?
just extremely comfortable at cash games, and you've been playing them for 48 years.
And the range changes, right? The range changes depending on stack sizes and where you're at in the tournament and all the other things that go into it.
It's definitely a different mindset for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love.
It's like playing Super Mario Brothers with 1 life. you don't get to die and then just like crank it up again from the same level. Like,
right?
It's just different.
Yeah. I mean, I love tournaments, and it's obvious. I always talk about it. I think it has something to do with the survival aspect.
I think it's probably that combined with the ultimate reward.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like there is something nice.
The glory.
Yeah, there is some. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love cash because it's steady. Like for me, it's the opposite, right? And it's changed. When I was younger and really trying to cut my teeth and make a name for myself, the notion of ripping one off for an amount of money that would set me up was way more enticing than grinding 510 for $500 a day.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But like once you get to a point where it's a little bit less about money and it's a little bit more about competition, like that's the real reason. At some point you get to a degree where like you don't have to be in poker anymore. Right. Yeah. And I think tournaments become a lot less appealing at that point because they feel more lotto-esque. You understand the game a lot better. You recognize how much variance is involved. It just seems like a real drain. And you don't want to suck the joy out of the game that you love.
I mean, you played sports your whole life, and I'm sure like, there's nothing more you wanted than was like to win a championship.
Yeah.
And do you don't feel any of that like with poker? Because you can't win a championship in a cash game. I mean,
you know what I loved the most about playing collegiate baseball? Practice. I loved.
You said practice? Practice? I ain't showing up for practice.
I loved practice. I loved showing up 7 days a week, putting in the extra time, being the first one there, the last one to leave. I loved all of that because to me, that was where you grinded out your quote unquote win rate.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then everything else was just set in motion. Once you got to the game, you just performed. And honestly, like I almost always underperformed. Like if you were able to take every pitch that I threw in practice and compared it to every pitch that I threw in a game, I would estimate that my effectiveness in practice would be like 20 to 25% higher.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's a me problem, right? Might have been a framing issue, might have just been performance anxiety. Who knows? But anyway.
Do you still have performance anxiety?
I don't think. I think I do okay. But I loved the practice because the game was the finality, right? There was no more what if after the game. And so much of it was out of your control. But everything was controlled in practice. It was this controlled environment where you just got to be your absolute best day in and day out. And the notion was if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So the idea was not to win as in competing against someone else. It was to win as in competing against yourself, right? Yeah. I need to slowly grind myself into a better version of who I am day in and day out until ultimately we arrive at the game and I'm the best version of myself.
And that's how you see cash games.
That's how I see cash games, and it's never ending, right? So every day I'm just working on something. I'm trying to get a little bit better. I'm trying to win, whatever. With MTTs, you're right. It's a lot more like the in season, right? Like you're just showing up. You're taking your lumps. You go on a 7-game losing streak. You try to turn it around in a 7-game cashing streak, whatever. Ultimately, maybe you win a big one. And there is something very romantic about, like, let's say your win rates are identical. Let's say that you're making $100 an hour both in cash and MTTs. But the difference is in cash, you get a weekly check of $3,000. Nah, too much. $1,500. You get a weekly check, $1,500, right? 52 weeks, relatively consistently. Sometimes they hold your check. Sometimes
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. They hold the mine right now.
Skolansky bucks.
Sometimes the check.
There's a glitch, in the computer system, and you're gonna get your check a week later.
Sometimes your check bounces, right? But you get an end of the month bonus for like $10K.
Yeah,
and whatever. So
sometimes you get 2 bonuses.
Yeah, sometimes you get back-to-back bonuses. Like the pain points are a little bit less. It's a lot more consistent. With MTTs, it's like, okay, here's what I want you to do. You're gonna sign a contract for me. And I'm going to pay you $100 an hour, and you're going to work an undisclosed amount of hours for this year.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're lucky, at the end of this year, or sometimes sporadically throughout the next 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, I'm going to give you your entire hourly all in one lump sum.
Yeah.
And it's like there's something kind of romantic about that.
There is, and there's something kind of really sick.
It's sick and twisted. It's sick and twisted because of the resilience that you have to endure, where like every day you wake up and you say, I'm quitting today. Yeah. Today's the day I'm going to quit my job. But in the back of your head is this looming voice that says, if you walk away from this, they don't owe you the back pay.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Why are we quitting? Because we lost a couple times?
A couple times.
We got to fucking man up, man. Like, listen, man. This shit's not for the easy. It's not easy, all right? It's
not for the faint of heart.
It's not for the faint of heart. It's grind. It's rise and grind every day. Listen to your fucking TCU ringtone. Like shit's popping, man.
Yeah.
It hurt. Don't get me wrong. It does hurt sometimes. But when you think you are decent at something, and which I do personally in tournaments, and can only get better, I feel like it would be absurd to stop. Like, yeah, whatever. I might be on a little downswing. Might be getting absolutely fucking smashed this year. But at the same time, it's like, whatever, man.
That is great. That's a great graphic right there.
We got to show up, man.
Yep.
I like that graphic. We got to get to the diamonds.
Those diamonds.
That's used for
Get to the jewel? Is that what you're saying?
Get to the jewel, boys. That graphic is literally used for every single pay and play app game ever created.
Yeah. Seriously.
All right. Speaking of the jewel, let's turn you guys loose on those live guys. Get everyone out of here. Don't forget that there's a new episode of Poker Out Loud out today if you're a Solve4Y TV member. If not, you can head over to solve4y.io and sign up. We also have all of our academies for the first half of 2024. If you sign up prior to December 15th, that date is coming up soon.
4 days away.
Save $500. So hurry up and get your seat now if you're interested. We have a Cash Game Academy January 15th to the 17th. Another one in March. Another one in May, as well as an MTT Academy in May.
Don't be a sucker and pay full price.
That's right. You might as well save that $500. Punish me. That's going to do it for us. Big shout out to Kier's mom. I did not forget. Thank you so much for watching us every single day. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Miss Kier.
For those of you who are watching faithful out there, shout out to you guys as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific.
Peace.
Later.